Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Koa and thanks for joining us today. So I was thinking today we'd do something a little bit different, a little bit fun. So I'm going to talk about 5 different houseplants which are perfect for the average overwaterer. Now a little bit about me and my houseplant journey. I am relatively new to it, but I am an overwaterer by nature. I tend to overwater a lot of my plants. I don't know, I think I just get too excited to watch them grow. I use fish emulsion and I use chelated iron, I really go in. So I found that these 5 house plants that I have, they actually do pretty well, even though I overwater them here and there, but they don't really die, nor do they show signs of yellowing for me. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, I just want to also give a special mention to Billy back here. Look at him. Or my Billetier, or Billetier. He's making a special appearance today. I have some of the plants over here, and we'll start with this one. Now, this, hopefully you can see it, this is my air plants. And I've had it for a few, maybe a month or 2 now, but this plant doesn't really get watered the way you would expect the plant to get watered. Also, it's very unconventional if you think about it. It doesn't have any roots. It's not in soil like that. But the way you water this plant is that you pretty much soak it in water for 10 to 15 minutes, and then it's fine. You put it back to wherever you had it previously. But for me, I would put it in water and leave it there for 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours, 4 hours I've done, and it's been perfectly fine. So that is I guess that does count as overwatering, even though it's soaking in water, but I'm definitely leaving it to sit in water way longer than I'm supposed to. So yeah, first one, air plants. Moving on over. The second one here I have is my holiday cactus, specifically the Thanksgiving cactus. You can see a little bit there. This is actually the smaller of the, I have a bigger pot, it's right here. I have a bigger pot, I also have a smaller pot, but I'm showing this one today because I have this one in a very airy, chunky mix. So I have a lot of orchid bark. I think it's just I use a bag of orchid bark. Yeah, I use a bag of orchid bark. I just poured it in a pot. I have it in terracotta as well. So it's very airy. So it's just orchid bark, perlite, charcoal, a little bit of soil. I think I put a little bit of worm castings in it. Just a tiny bit, because I know these don't really need that much fertilizer. But I am currently watering this, honestly, once every 2-3 days. And to me, having to water a plant very often is related to overwatering, because you're watering it a lot more often than you normally would. But I find with this plant, you can hear Kaden. I find with this plant, because it is in very airy soil, it does tolerate the overwatering or the watering more often than you normally should for this type of plant. And plus it's in terracotta, so it does give the plant a chance to kind of be a little bit dry, or kind of have a little bit of a dry time, because the terracotta is kind of pulling the water out of the soil too. And also the orchid bark is very drainy, so it holds on to water but also releases the water really fast. So yeah, jungle cactus or holiday cactus, but I can only speak for the Thanksgiving one, but I'm pretty sure they're all the same. Okay, the next one is my Fittonia. Now this one here is a real trooper. Okay, so I have many times in the past, I've been in a rush. I'm you know what? Let me just pour half a bottle of water. So, these bottles here, I fill up with water and I put my fertilizer, whatever, in them. And I would literally fill it up and pour half of it in the cover pot here, just for the plant itself to soak up the water. So right now it's in a nursery pot, and I have it in a terracotta cover pot. But this is not really how it normally stays. Normally it's on my plant wall. But it seriously, honestly sits in that water for a while. and like I would do it in the morning, come back in the afternoon, be like, oh shoot, there's still water here. I've actually gone as far as the next day, realizing that there's water in it from the day before, and honestly, it's still fine. I mean, this should be like number one. This is like the most, I just lost a leaf. This is like the most tolerant plant. If you're an overwaterer, get you a Fittonia, okay? A lot of people don't talk about these much because they're more quote-unquote finicky, but they're only quote-unquote finicky if you tend to forget about your plants. If you're an underwaterer, then these would be very finicky for you, but if you're an overwaterer, you got this, friend. So yeah, Fittonia. Look how pretty that is. This one here is it's a very well-known species or genus of plants. We all know about it, but this is the example I have right now. The third plant, or fourth, ooh, gosh. The fourth plant is the Pothos. Can you see that? So this one is a neon Pothos. It's heavy, I think, yeah. It's in ceramic, and I don't overwater this plant in particular, but I do have a jade Pothos. I have two of them, and I do tend to overwater them a little bit because okay, let me explain. This is heavy. I'm putting this right here. Okay, so with those jade plants, they're hanging plants. So I would normally water them like once every 3-4 weeks. I've even gone as long as over a month before. But when I do water them, I do like drench them, okay, so that it can just have enough water for it to survive for another month of not having water or not needing water. And honestly, they're pretty forgiving. Like you would have maybe like 1 or 2 leaves kind of yellow off, but I find that like they can pretty much take a beating when it comes to watering, or they can pretty much handle it, you know. They're not like a type of plant that would just like, you know, wither away, or certain plants would just like, you know, yellow and just fall off. You'll see like, you know, 1 or 2 leaves, but honestly, I think it's pretty forgiving for an overwaterer like me. The Pothos. So last but not least is the infamous peace lily. Now I am a lover of peace lilies. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 3 in my room right now. 1 downstairs. I only have 3 different types of peace lilies. So I have the regular Chico, I think it's called. Let me show you. It has a fungus gnat sticker, but I have the silver stripe one. I also have a really huge peace lily in the corner there. You can't really see him pointing toward my mirror, but I'll put some B-roll. I have that big one, which is like my favorite, and I do want a bigger one, and my last one's downstairs. So I've had this peace lily for like at least a few years. I think it's been 2 years. I think I had it for a very long time. It's actually like almost as old as some of my succulents. But this plant, like I've overwatered it many of times, and it's actually in a self-watering pot right now, this one in particular. So I think it actually prefers to stay super moist. I don't mean like the soil being super like wet and like, no, not like that. Just like keeping it relatively moist. I find with like, I have the one I showed you, the silver stripe, is in the regular pot, and I water that like once every 3-4 days. But putting it in a self-watering pot, and I'll fill the water up maybe to about like here, just to like legit have it sitting in some water, and it's fine with that. Honestly, I've never seen anything bad happen to it. That if I overwater it, like it's honestly fine. I've had the silver streak legit sitting in water. The soil was super like dense, and the media for that plant is actually I think it's like a peaty type of media. But honestly, it's been fine. I haven't had any problems. The only problem I had was when I underwatered it. I left it for 1 day too long, and it legit like was not happy at all. So I find this plant also very close to the Fittonia in terms of like being indestructible if you're an overwaterer. But this one does really well, and I've actually heard that you can just like rinse off the soil really well, just put it in water, and it should be fine. I don't think I'll do that. Maybe I'll try, I'll experiment. Because I have this peace lily in a self-watering, one in a nursery pot, another one in terracotta, and then the other one in a plastic pot. Now, let's just talk about this real fast. The one in the terracotta is my biggest peace lily. That one I water like every 2 days. It's in a 10-inch terracotta pot. I water that one every 2 days. I watered it yesterday. I know tomorrow morning it's gonna complain because it needs water. It legit drains so fast. It also gets a little bit of morning sun. So that could also be why it drains so fast. But honestly, it's thriving in there. So I'm not gonna take it out of the terracotta. But I found if you don't wanna deal with like the constant watering every 2-3 days, if you're an overwaterer like me, you know, I don't mind watering every day, but some days I just forget. So I find a self-watering pot, peace lily, perfect. Perfect. And that is it for the video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something. If you're an overwaterer out there, comment down below what's your favorite plant, okay? Or comment down below what's your wish list plant, you know, that you're trying or that you would like to get, but you can't get because you're an overwaterer. But I feel like overwatering is something that can be unlearned, if that makes sense. I actually have a moisture meter, so that really helps me to truly determine when a plant needs water, or when I think it needs water, or when I want to water it, most importantly. So I hope you learned something today, and thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.